Hello everybody, Demon Red Mist here, and if you didn't see the DGT No tips, might want to watch that, because I've literally just finished streaming that, and I said on there that I was going to show some tips for the Tomahawk. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I know how amazing this car is, and I know that quite a few of the drivers in the DGT League have obviously heard us say, this car's amazing, and then they've driven it and they've been like, hang on a minute, it keeps fucking spinning everywhere, shit. Well, okay, it's a very, very, very different animal to the Porsche we've just driven. Now, I don't know, I can't remember if I know or not, I don't know if we're going to be racing this car around this track, I doubt it. I don't even know if I've driven this car around this track. But because I have just driven the Porsche No around this track, then I'm going to take it around here as a direct comparison. Now this is set up for the DGT League grit settings, but this is a very, very different car to the Porsche we were just using. So when it comes to what gear we're going to use in corners, it could be very different to what we've just seen in the Porsche, because this car has a lot more grip. However, the braking points are going to be pretty much exactly the same. I say that, pretty much exactly the same from turn 4 onwards. Turn 1, 2 and 3 is probably going to be having to brake a little bit earlier. And you may think, well, if it's got more grip, why do you need to brake earlier? Well, it's got more power and it's got more speed. It's approaching the corners at a much higher speed, therefore it needs to brake a little bit earlier. But the key factor with this car is, and if you were watching the DGT No video that I was doing, I mentioned that around this track I was not steering at any point more than 45 degrees, right? In this car, if you steer to 45 degrees or more, you will spin, pretty much. So, if you have driven this car and you find that you are spinning, mainly on corner exits, it's because you've applied too much steering angle when applying too much throttle angle. Throttle angle? That's not right. Throttle. So let's see if we can kind of show that a bit. Right, I'm going to go back to my normal view, where it makes it look like there's 3 cars behind you. And like I said, this car is much faster, but it has got a lot of grip. But as I mentioned, the main thing that I want to show here is the amount of steering angle, i.e., well, that you don't have to use. I need a lot there because I've missed the braking point. Now I am going to try and sort of overdrive this a little bit. For the most part, the concept of how to approach this track is going to be exactly the same. Like the gentle braking points, the being off brakes, off throttle, waiting till you've tucked into the apex. Chances are I may take less straddling sausage curve, because I don't know how this car's going to handle it. We'll find out. It wasn't that quick through the corner, but not a lot of steering angle needed, and off the steering as early as physically possible. Now I applied a lot of steering angle there to see how it copes with the corner, but as you'll have seen, I had to get it off very quickly. Steering angle while applying the throttle. let it tuck in, then we can be flat out, let it tuck in, then we can be flat out, and all the time as my throttle's going on, I'm trying to take more and more steering off. Handled the curve there quite nice. Brake too late. But again, that squirrely moment was all because of the steering angle. I'm in second gear. I wanted first. I'm in the Porsche gears. Again, too much steering applied. That the less steering you use, the more aggressive you can actually be with your throttle. But going from the Porsche to this, you have to get used to braking a little bit earlier in the bigger braking points. Okay, so I'm going to be in 6th and I'm going to want first. So you'll notice there was a big coming off the steering as I went on the throttle. Still got a little bit of wheel spin, but it's not spun me. Don't really want first there. This is quite a tricky track for really showing the steering angle. But what I'll do in a moment is I'm going to go to another track that will really emphasise it. Okay. I do really enjoy driving this car. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to go to another track. I'm going to reload the Porsche, right? But I'm going to go to DGT Seaside, right? Most of us know that track, but also it has the right type of corners to be able to really show the difference in amount of steering angle that you don't need in the Tomahawk. But yeah, I mean, did I spin there? I don't think I spun. Got a few very sideways moments, but it's one of those things, as soon as you realise too much steering when I put my throttle down, and you actively work on taking that steering off, you'll find driving so much more enjoyable. Yes, okay, you could like accelerate less, but you don't want to do that. You want to go as quick as possible, so come off the steering and accelerate. Okay, now going to the Porsche, this is going to seem a little bit odd, but one of the things I want to really sort of look at here is how much steering angle I have to apply in this car. We're looking about 45 degrees-ish through the first couple of corners, but I'm not up to speed yet, but So just over 45, but again we're coming off the steering as quick as we can. The process there is still the same. But we're about 45 degrees and we're right on the limit. So up over the hill it's about 45 degrees, and even then we're pushing it. Just over 45 for a moment to get it turned in. Oh, you fucker. About 45 degrees through there and I hit the wall. And then again, the final corner, it's about 45 degrees. So I'm not really steering more than 45 degrees around this track, apart from the really tight corners where maybe for a fraction I am, but then I'm right off the steering. Quite a lot of lock needed for the King. Didn't need to go above 45 on that occasion because of the line I took through the corner. Now, for those of us that raced the Porsche around this track last week, you'll know that going up that hill, a bit tricky, you get slightly offline. Okay, so we're able to take less than 45 degree steering angle through there. I've got a bit over 45, but I wouldn't want to do that too often. Okay. Now obviously the Tomahawk, as we know, is a very different beast, but the steering angle that we need is still gonna, it plays such a key role. So what I'm gonna try and do now is to drive it around here using the amount of steering that I just used in the Porsche. Okay. Because that is one of the things that I think has been happening, is that people have been driving the Porsche, then jump into this, steer the same amount, and the car can't handle it. So we were looking at about 45 degrees on average for most corners. Okay, that was a bit more. Got to get me braking right and the gears right. Oh, okay, so 45. Well, I'm making the corners. So you might think, that's not bad, that. So even though I came off the steering early then, I had too much applied. Well, that's good, you might think. No, it's not. So, even though I'm driving it like this, you might actually think it's not too bad for staying on the road. I mean, in the Porsche, 45 degrees was needed or nearly to get through the kink. The thing is, I'm automatically coming off the steering as well, so I am kind of half saving this. Whereas if I kept the steering on, we're going to crash. So as I said, yeah, we can make these corners 45 degree steering, no problem. But do we want to? Well, we got through. Right, now let's try and drive it properly, shall we? Okay, so we've been working on an average of 45 degree steering angle. You've heard me say it loads. Now look at the amount of steering angle we are able to use. Braked a bit late, got a bit wobbly, but straight to wheel, we don't lose the rear end. Do you need 45 degrees? No. Do you need to kill your tyres? No. Now there, you saw me feeding the steering off and off and off. That's balancing the steering with the throttle. Look at how little steering I was using there. Now the more that you do this, reduce the amount that you steer, the sooner you're going to be able to get on the power. Didn't really want second gear on way in then. Braking too late. But we got that steering straight. Now the amount of steering angle difference through there is near enough 100%. Now in the really slow corners, you are still going to have to turn quite a bit more compared to everywhere else. But you still don't have to steer loads. But again, a lot of it is down to getting off the steering. So I love this car. Braking a touch late there. So I am having to steer a bit more on the way in, but it's still less than I was doing earlier. .45, just too much steering angle there, but we were using more than that in the Porsche. Even went through those corners using less and less and less steering angle. very early then, or because of what I was doing with the steering as I went full power. That's going to be one. Ooh, I had to lift. Okay. Hopefully, people will watch this. And find it very, very useful. I'm also now going to do a little secret addition, which is, because I know most people hate this, it's how to do go-kart. Personally, I enjoy driving the go-karts. I really do like them. Let's see, I'm going to change the track. I'm going to go to Suzuka. We were driving Suzuka a little while ago in these cars. Fucking brilliant. Right. Okay, now I'm picking Suzuka on purpose because of the nature of the corners, the changes of direction through the first sector, the fast high-speed Degners, the hairpin, spoon, and so on. Now, when it comes to driving the go-kart, there's two reasons why I'm showing this. One is because people struggle driving the go-kart, and two, because it also connects with basically what you're doing with your steering wheel. It is the key to this car, exactly the same as it is with the Tomahawk. So, with the Tomahawk compared to the Porsche, you need to steer less, a lot less. With the go-kart, you have to approach it in a completely different direction, which is, instead of turning your steering wheel to get around corners, your aim is to always try and keep your steering wheel straight. Now you're going to think, what the fuck are you on about, Dave? Why? How can you go around a corner if your steering wheel's straight? Well, it's quite simple, really. The steering in the go-karts is so powerful that you only need a tiny amount of steering angle, and then your focus is all about keeping that steering wheel straight. And I'm hoping to be able to show that. Right? Now, this is how I have been able to get along very well with the go-kart, right? So this process may not work for everybody, but it works for me. So, and one of the best examples of it is, anyone that drives the go-kart knows you get a wobble on and you're in deep shit, right? But why have you got a wobble on? Well, probably because you've steered too much, and then you've tried to react to steering too much, which means you've then steered the opposite way, but now you've steered too much that way. So what do? You try and correct it by steering the opposite direction, and you make it worse. But if you just hold your wheel straight, what would happen? That's got you thinking. Let's find out. Okay. The thing is as well, once I'd worked this out, I got to a point where, okay, it's amazing how many corners can be flat out in a go-kart, but also just how sideways you can actually get without bending it or spinning it. Okay. Now look at how much steering angle is being applied, and it is literally a tiny aim into the corner, and then it's all about, right, keep the wheel straight. We're trying to straighten up the wheel all the time. You think, well, we've got a tight corner coming up. Well, you've got to turn into it, but turn in, and then it's straighten the wheel. On the brakes, turn in. Whoa! Put it on the curb. Well done, dipshit. I know I weren't saving that, that's why I went opposite along. Fucking didn't do that when I raced this earlier. Now, one of the things that this does emphasise as well is how important it is to be coming off steering when you're going on throttle. Now, I know that the first part of spoon can be done flat out, but if you don't hold the steering as straight as you can, or dip a wheel, you're going off. Good example video this day, well done. But yeah, everything that you need to do with the steering in the go-kart needs to be in a very minor amount. We've got the initial turn in, like I said, but then it's about just holding the wheel as straight as you can. Even here, once you've got it turned in, that initial direction change, we're all about straightening up the wheel. Right, now this should be flat out into 1, 5th gear into 2. So initial bit of steering and then we're straightening the wheel up. Now yeah, okay, the car's sliding, but it's quick, and what you'll find is you can actually balance it all on that, just trying to keep the steering straight. So don't think about it as, oh, I've got to turn into the corner. Because you may not be able to save it like I just did there. But also the amount I turned in was way too much. I don't really know how else I could perhaps explain this. See, the car's sliding through those corners, and I'm not trying to opposite lock it because I haven't really steered too much. All I've done is turned it in a little bit and then trying to hold the wheel straight, and it's just nicely balanced sliding around the corner. Problem with the live stream. I'll be annoyed if I've had a problem with the live stream. Okay, now driving with this process, what it does allow you to do is, if you do steer too much, you can spin it like that, or you've got a much better chance of actually saving the spin. But the key part is all about not steering too much into a corner, because if you do, it's going to get big sideways. Don't get me wrong, it can be good fun, but if you're too big sideways, you're going to counter steer too much, and then it's going to grip and it's going to go. I'll be annoyed if I'm giving away some amazing tips here on how to drive the go-kart and it's not even being streamed. Oh no, it is being streamed still. Okay, good. Okay, so on this next lap, and I'm only going to do one more, I'm just going to go with steering a tiny bit too much. Started there. That was the tiniest bit more steering. And she wanted to fucking go. So like I say, with the go-kart, it all comes down to keeping that wheel straight and not turning too much. As soon as you got that initial turning, straighten the wheel and then do everything you can to keep it straight. And if you do get sideways, you might not want to keep it full throttle. But you'll have noticed while I'm doing these laps that I've not had the big tank slapper wobbles, which I will try and initiate in a minute. See, the only difference between that and the other laps was the amount of steering angle. Put too much on and around she goes. Okay, yeah, so your speed wobbles are going to come from steering too much and then counteracting to that too much steering, which in turn is too much. So like that, where you got the speed wobble, all from steering too much. Let's see if we can initiate another one. Shit. Right. But this time, trying to intentionally fuck up. This time, hold the wheel straight, and it straightens itself. Even if you're on power. Anyway. Well, hopefully I've shown you how to be shit in a go-kart. But also just how important it is about being just very gentle with the amount. You really do not need to steer pretty much at all, even around a track like Suzuka in a go-kart. Just the tiniest little bit of initial turning, and then everything is about keeping that wheel, trying to get it back to centre, because you can be full throttle and you'll know, like, if you're full throttle and you're spinning, you got to a steering angle on. Now obviously some corners aren't going to be full throttle, but it is all about trying to get that wheel back to centre. Anyway, that's it, I'm done, I'm buggered, I'm knackered, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm fucking starving. I've hardly had any sleep the last few days, so I'm going to disappear. Have a good one, everybody. Hope you stay safe, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye.